Hello everyone, let us continue our discussion of the preliminaries. In this video, we will discuss interior of sets and about proper closed functions. We begin with the discussion of the interior of a set. Recall the definition of an open epsilon ball around point x. The interior of a set calligraphic X is defined as the set of all points x, for which there exists an epsilon such that the open epsilon ball is also contained in calligraphic X. In other words, we are trying to check if we can move a bit around X but still manage to stay inside calligraphic X. In fact, recall that this is closely related to open sets. We said that open sets are those in which we can move around in the neighborhood of X but still stay inside calligraphic X. The interior of the set is therefore trying to find the largest open subset of X. For instance, the interior of a closed interval 0, 1 is the open interval 0, 1. Intuitively, you can think of it as removing the boundary points of a set, if any, and making it open. Indeed, if you are at any point x less than 1, then you can move a bit to x plus epsilon. To ensure that x plus epsilon is still less than 1, you only need to pick epsilon small enough, that is epsilon must be less than 1 minus x. But since we started with the assumption that x is less than 1, therefore 1 minus x is strictly greater than 0, making it a valid choice of epsilon. We will see that in convex analysis, sometimes we need to restrict ourselves to the interior of a set. This would particularly be important when dealing with constrained convex optimization problems, where Slater's condition is generally required. However, this definition of interior is somewhat too restrictive for some scenarios of interest. One particular scenario is when the set is squished along one of the dimensions. For instance, consider the set L in R2 where x1 is equal to 1 and x2 is between 0 and 1. The set extends along the x2 dimension, but along the x1 dimension it is just a point. In other words, it is a line segment in R2. So if we try to draw an open epsilon ball around any point in this set, you can imagine that the ball will always lie outside the set along the x1 dimension, no matter how small epsilon is. Because you cannot fit any open ball inside L, by this definition its interior is the empty set. You can think of more examples, for instance the semi-norm ball. A more useful definition in convex analysis is one which ignores those dimensions where the set is squished to a point and only considers the dimensions where the set has more than a single point. The relative interior Ri of X is defined as the set of points for which there exists an epsilon greater than 0 such that the intersection of the open epsilon ball around X and the affine hull of X is a subset of calligraphic X. Recall the definition of the affine hull, which is the set of all points of the form sum over I from 1 to k, theta I xi, where k is any number of points, xi's are elements of X, theta I are real and sum up to 1. For instance, the affine hull of 2 points is a line through them and the affine hull of 3 non-collinear points is the plane through them. So by intersecting the open epsilon ball with the affine hull of L, we are able to keep the axis along which there are 2 or more points, but remove the axis along which there is only 1 point. For instance, you can verify that the affine hull of this line segment L in R2 is the x2 axis at x1 equal to 1. So if we intersect the open epsilon ball around any point with the x2 axis, we will obtain an open interval on this line. That open interval clearly lies inside the original line segment L. Therefore, the relative interior of L is the open interval 0, 1. Next, we start our discussion of various kinds of functions. In convex analysis, to be consistent, we need to slightly modify some of the usual definitions of analysis. But the entire discussion from now on is focused towards functions that have to be minimized. So apply all these definitions and checks only to functions that have to be minimized. If you are maximizing the function, the definitions need to be slightly different, so you have to be a bit careful when applying them. We begin with discussing a very important concept that is also somewhat of a departure from the kind of mathematics that you have been exposed to. An extended real valued function is one that takes values over the extended real line that includes real numbers as well as minus infinity and plus infinity. The domain of the function is defined as the set x for which the function value is less than infinity. Another way of writing this function is that f is infinity for all x that are outside its domain. This is a departure from what you may have seen because usually we did not bother to assign a value to f if x was outside its domain. But here we are explicitly assigning it a value of infinity. Now these are not some new kinds of functions, just a convention that allows us to be consistent across definitions. Any analytic function is always defined in a way that it only takes real values, and infinity is not a real number. So you will not really find a function in the wild that will suddenly take the value infinity unless you explicitly force it to. Think of infinity as an isolated point outside of the real line, and we force f to take that value whenever x is outside its domain. Let us consider the simple example, the indicator function of set x, which is 0 when x is in the set calligraphic x and infinity outside of calligraphic x. As you can see, the domain of the indicator function is when the function is less than infinity. Proper functions are functions whose domain is non-empty and that do not take the value minus infinity. In this course, we will only be considering proper functions. The fact that domain has to be non-empty is intuitive, or else it becomes a trivial situation. The requirement that f must be greater than minus infinity is essentially a matter of convention, because remember that no function was taking infinite values on its own unless we were explicitly forcing the function to do so. In other words, in case of proper functions, we do not force them to take the value of minus infinity anywhere. It has to do with the fact that we are planning to minimize the function f, and if it is taking values of minus infinity, it makes some of the other definitions inconsistent. Next, we define closed functions. Recall that the epigraph of a function is the set of all x and t such that f of x is less than or equal to t. For instance, if f is the norm, then its epigraph is the norm cone. A function is said to be closed if its epigraph is a closed set. Let us take a simple example of the indicator function that we saw earlier. Recall that the indicator function can take value 0 when x is in calligraphic x and infinity otherwise. Therefore, the indicator function is extended real valued. The epigraph of the indicator function is given by the set of all x and t such that the indicator function value is less than equal to t. Now remember that t is a real number, so it can never be infinity. So let's first consider x that are outside of calligraphic x. For such x, the indicator function is infinity, which can never be less than or equal to any real t. Therefore, such values of x cannot be inside the epigraph. Then let us consider those x that are inside calligraphic x. For these x, the indicator function is 0, and therefore any t greater than or equal to 0 will satisfy this inequality. Therefore, the epigraph contains all points x and t such that x is in calligraphic x and t is greater than or equal to 0. Now clearly R plus is closed. We already saw this earlier. Therefore, it follows that the indicator function is closed if and only if the set calligraphic x is closed. Since we will always be considering closed functions, finding their epigraph and verifying might be a bit tedious. So we will provide an easy to check property for continuous functions. An extended real value function, which is firstly continuous on its domain and secondly has a closed domain, is a closed function. For instance, consider the indicator function when calligraphic x is closed. The indicator function is 0 over its domain and hence is a continuous function over its domain, which is calligraphic x. Applying this definition, we see that the indicator function is therefore closed. As another example, consider the continuous real valued function from V to R. Since this function takes only real values, its domain is the entire set V, which is closed. So applying the property stated earlier, we conclude that f is closed. Note that the converse is not true. That is, if the domain of the continuous function is open, the function could still be closed. Consider the function f of x, defined as 1 over x for x positive real and infinity for x less than or equal to 0. With this definition, note that f is the extended real value but its domain does not include the point 0 and is therefore not closed. Therefore, let us check the original definition. The epigraph of this function is given by the set of all x and t such that xt is greater than or equal to 1 and x is strictly greater than 0. We can sketch this set here and see that the epigraph is the shaded region which is closed. This implies that the extended real valued function f is closed. So that is all for this video. In the next video, we'll continue with the preliminaries and look at convex functions.